who remembers my theory of addictions? You remember it with the fluid.
So is that the baby in the placenta?
That's the baby in the placenta, yes, good baby.
It's like
Okay,
everything
so
the
let's
mother,
go back
everything
here.
the mother experienced.
Yeah, the baby.
So where do we come from?
The whole picture of the universe.
We come from the wholeness of the universe, yes, and it's intact, right?
Yes.
And then we come down and we experience, well, our flesh. Now the flesh is in here. Where's our next level of wholeness? Well, ideally, but where do we think our next level of wholeness is?
Birth?
Not birth, what comes before?
Conception.
Yeah, but
But pregnancy,
in the pregnancy, in the womb. And it's fluid. To me, addiction equals toxic fluid. So if you think of drinking, it's toxic fluid. What we're trying to do is get back into the womb. But really, what we're trying to do is get back to the womb, the universal womb. We're searching for wholeness as a result of the addiction. So when she says, I'm addicted to love, she is indeed addicted to love. She's looking for quote unquote God, the universe, the wholeness of the cosmos. But we stop here because this is what we think is where we have to stop. But it's not. If we keep going, we have a wholeness here before we have the body. This is my theory. Doesn't make it true, it's just mine. But it goes in line with psychodynamic. So, substance abuse can be viewed as symptomatic of a more basic psychopathology. And so in the Freudian or in a psychodynamic model, it isn't simply that you have an addiction. It's that you have something deeper, something more profound. There's actually it could be a personality disorder, it could be something deeper and darker. That addiction is a symptom. Who believes this? That addiction is simply a symptom of something deeper. So Aniela, Mr. Pachi,
Sounds about right.
what can it be a symptom of? What it could be that, Chichi?
Like, is it pain? Could pain be something?
Absolutely, the pain, a deeper cause of pain, and then if we want to give it a name, it could be, what was that?
The wound, the trauma.
The deeper wound, which is a psychopathology or a personality disorder. And I also have disturbed object relations. Do you guys remember object relations? That connection with others. Who is the first person that we create a connection with?
Mother.
With mother. So I forget her name, Melanie someone. She talks about a graphic description of the baby with the breast. And the baby holds onto the breast and loves the breast and loves the mother, but then the baby's taken from the breast and then hates the mother and hates the breast, and it's like this love-hate relationship because the breast and the milk is a source of such pleasure, but then when it's taken is a source of such pain, and to use her word from earlier of control, the baby's pissed because the mother gets to control her pain and her pleasure of when she gets the milk, of when she doesn't get the milk, and that pisses the shit out of the kid. That is an inherent, deep object relations wound. Ugh. So you now control shit, and you only let yourself lose control when you a little bit, because you want to get away, not from anything, but what you want to do is basically escape the deeper, darker issue, the deeper, darker psychopathology, or the deeper, darker issue at hand, which is really that you hate your mother. And I'm not saying that it's true, although it probably is, because we all do, according to my theory, because that's what the root is. So in psychodynamic, this is what we look at. So this is a very, very much more intricate look at addictions counseling than it's just learned behavior. Let's remove the substance. I'm going to unlearn the behavior. Very AA. Very AA. AA, very learning theory. Abstinence. And then people relapse. So you see that nothing is right or wrong, but it's going to be a very different therapy model, a very different therapy session. If I am looking at the deeper, darker wound of your mother being in control because she took away your breast milk, man, that's a shitload of years of therapy. Very different than, just let's remove the alcohol or let's take away the drug. You're going to unlearn. And voila. Do you see how the whole therapeutic dynamic, the whole therapeutic session, the whole relationship with the therapist changes? If I'm looking at a psychodynamic thing, look at transference. All of a sudden, that therapist becomes my mother. We have the chance of a transference. Do you guys remember these concepts from Psych 101? It's very important that you remember intro to psych stuff, because if not, I'm talking woo. So if you don't remember, go and get your psych book. Your Psych 101 book is super important, and in every single textbook that you buy, the most important part of the book is the theories, and I've said this over and over and over again. That's why I'm spending time today, because I don't want you to miss out on the theory for this particular course, because there's so many. Next is personality theories. I know we're all over the board, but.
Just a reminder, it's 11 and you wanted to do the mindfulness activity.
Okay, well, we might not get to today.
Okay.
I mean, we have all month, so we'll get to everything as we get to it, Okay. Personality theories believe, and raise your hand if you believe this. Do you believe that there's an alcoholic personality?
It depends the way you look at it, though. Like,
Tell me what you think. There's no right or wrong.
our, because I'm gonna include myself in that. Our personality, at least for me, switches up when I'm drunk as opposed to when I'm.
Okay, but is there a personality sober that would determine that you even go for a drink versus someone else that doesn't? So I have alcoholic personality. These are the characteristics. Dependent, immature, impulsive, highly emotional, having low frustration tolerance, unable to express anger, and confused about sexual orientation. Doesn't mean you have to have all of them, but does this seem right?
My dad doesn't have any of those.
Yeah.
And I have some, very few. And I'm not an alcoholic. I have a lot of these, and I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah, because my dad doesn't have any of those.
Okay. So is there indeed a personality, an alcohol, and it's specific in this particular one from the book, an alcoholic personality?
Have you guys ever seen, the full seasons of Friends?
Yes.
Okay, there's a guy that Monica was dating that he was later on found that he was an alcoholic. And
Which one?
oh
Richard?
God, I think it was Rob, Rob is the brother. No,
Not Richard.
No.
he was, Richard is the older guy. This guy, everybody loved him because he was funny. He would tell people, damn, I love that outfit, you look great. And people are, oh shit, I like you, you know. He was always happy. And
It's
then,
only like 4 episodes.
Okay.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
pretty short.
And then they realized that he was an alcoholic because they had a party and they drank like 5 bottles of wine. And they're like, well, I only had like 1 glass. And everybody, I had 1 and I had 2. So what happened with the 4
Another
bottles? They're like, have you ever noticed how this guy always has a drink in his hand? So then they started kind of like remembering, okay, where have we been with him that he's not drinking? And then later on, he would had a coffee and he would put alcohol in the coffee. He's like, let's make this fun. So he put alcohol and he's like, I just do it because, you know, I just do it. Like, I'm happy all the time. So I feel like this is going to make me feel better. Like, help you. I don't know. Like, he was like, I don't know why I do it. I just know I do it. And then he quit. And he was horrible. He was grumpy. He was like super quiet. He didn't want to do anything. He was like, oh, you know, you shouldn't be drinking. You shouldn't be doing that. And then he got boring. So this girl was like, I don't think this is going to work out. Here, have some alcohol.
Well, I heard once from someone in AA that they said AA ruined my drinking, because exactly that. Like life of the party, fun, and then they became sort of straight-laced or whatnot, or moral, but then when they try to go back to drinking, AA ruined it because now it's the guilt, now it's, the morality, now I'm, being things like that. So there or is there not? Now, am I an addict in other ways? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Not in substances, but definitely in personality or in emotional things. And we will do a mindfulness activity.
But then, who's the real, if you have someone like that, then where's the real person? When do they come out?
That's what I'm
Who are
saying.
they? See, they're lost in limbo.
Yeah.
Because if, I'm miserable if I'm not drinking and I'm a happy person when I'm drinking, then who are you really? You gotta only be one or the other. Which is it?
And the thing is, if you're lost in limbo and you're not happy, is it a withdrawal that eventually the real person comes out, but do you have to process all that emotion before that real person even surfaces?
Well,
My dad was the same person, sober and drunk. There was no change. Literally.
I don't really believe that.
Yeah, I don't.
So what made him good or bad or different or better or
Yeah,
what?
how do you know when he was drunk and when he wasn't?
Yeah, what?
He was the same person.
He was like literally, he was neglectful. He didn't care about anyone.
He was the same bad person.
It might have just popped up from
Okay.
more, yeah.
We're so used to good and bad that we forgot there could be just one side.
So he wasn't happier? He wasn't a more neglectful, like, fool or a more neglectful jolly? Interesting. So that could be his true self,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and that's
why I
okay.
say-
But interesting. I mean, because when I was writing this, I was like, okay, I am dependent, I am immature, I am impulsive, I'm highly emotional, I have a low frustration tolerance, I do have the ability to express anger, and I'm not confused about my sexual orientation, but all of the other things, yeah, and I'm not an alcoholic, but,
But you
it's
also
not mutually
are.
exclusive.
But you also are mature when you have to be. You
True.
also are dependent only because you want to be close to people. You
Right, and
also
I can be
independent.
right.
You also are independent when you are writing your books and doing your theories and
True.
helping other people.
True, and then it goes to wonder exactly when is this? Is this, do you become these things when you have a drink? Because I'm these things with or without the drink, like I don't drink, so you're right. When are these defined?
Right.
Well,
But-
my cousin, the one that I told you is an alcoholic, he's actually clean now. And he's been clean for a few months because he's going to AA and stuff. And I don't speak too much like with my family in Cuba because he lives in Cuba. But I know that he told my mom how they gave him this book to read, and he was reading it, and he for the first time he actually shared something that was emotional, and he wasn't drunk. He would tell my mom, now I understand. Now I understand, and I want to change. This has gone too long, and he has 2 beautiful daughters. Like those girls are like him as a girl when he was younger. Like they're like a clone of him, and they're so madly in love with him. We have that thing in our family that we're madly in love with our fathers. And he wouldn't.
Object relationship.
Yeah. He wouldn't kind of have them in mind when he would get like drunk and stuff, and he would have like problems with the mother of the child. And now that all this is gone, he has cleared his mind. He's like, wow, like I understand what everybody has been telling me for so many years, and now I know. And like I can't wait to go to Cuba and see him. I already bought him a bike because he loves to ride bike. So I wanna reinforce that. Okay, you're doing good. So for the first time in my 11 years of not believing in Cuba, I will get you something because you're fighting to get better. So I'm gonna help you.
Okay, so we're gonna do an activity with that same concept. So I want you to take out a piece of paper, and I want you to put something negative that you think about yourself on that piece of paper. Like a thought that you repeat all the time. So like for instance, this morning, so I have a PhD, and for me, I have a PhD bullshit. I'm a fraud, it means nothing, I know nothing, I'm an idiot, like whatever. So I would put on the paper, I'm a fraud, or I'm an idiot, or I'm stupid. Like this is something I repeat to myself all the time. So something that you consistently repeat to yourself about yourself that's negative. Put that on a piece of paper. And we all have it.
Just one or?
Yeah, just one.
Damn.
Just one.
Pity parties.
They're arguing up there. Pick me, pick me.
Okay, everyone have it?
Yeah.
Okay, I need 2 volunteers.
Back.
Someone new. Let's do Chi-Chi and Pedro. So come up here, bring your chair. And we'll do other people, just. Yeah, bring your paper.
Just the paper?
Yeah, just the paper. And then fold it in half, because you're gonna put it to the top of your head. And Chi-Chi, okay. So who's gonna be the therapist and who's gonna be the client?
I'll be the client.
You didn't need a chair.
First page, or you're gonna hold your
Need to
paper
bring
and
a
I'm
chair.
gonna,
Okay.
and then bring a chair. Okay, so since you're the client, you're gonna hold the paper to the top of your head.
Well, then you have to show the bar.
Yeah, it's gotta show the thought. And what's the thought? You're lazy. Okay, so she's a lazy fuck. Okay.
Wow, when you put it
So,
that way.
hold it up to your head, get closer. And I want you to just start having a conversation with her. And just a regular conversation. Not about being lazy. Just a normal everyday, so how's your day? Like if you're just counseling her, forget your paper for a second, I'll hold yours. And then,
Conversation, all right.
yeah, conversation.
Could be like getting to know her.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting to know her, first session, you're just talking. Nothing about the laziness.
Well, how you doing? Good.
Just speak up.
What's your name?
My name's Chi-Chi.
Chichi. Nice to meet you, Chichi. I'm Pedro. Um, So, what brings you to this class? Is this something that you pick, or is something that was thrown in your schedule?
I guess it was put in my schedule.
Okay. Are you interested in psychology?
I'm not so sure anymore.
Yep.
Should I take that
Oh
personally?
my God, I'm in the wrong class.
So, okay. What do you like to do?
Like hobbies or just like?
Sure.
Okay, I like to read.
Great.
I love photography. That's pretty much it.
So you go out and take pictures with your cameras, phone?
When I can, not all the time though.
No? Okay, okay. Okay, so you like to read? Any favorite book?
I like dystopian novels, like fantasy sometimes. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so how does it feel to have I'm lazy while he's asking you these questions?
I'm not really conscious of that, of what he's doing.
So you're here with your paper and you don't have any recollection that you just have this on your head?
No.
Interesting. What about you? Are you aware of it?
About their paper? At first, yes, but then I try to, engage with her, and then I kind of begin to drift off. I just try to focus on getting to know her a little better.
Interesting. It's really for the person, but how are you just like this and
Oh, you're
not?
asking me where I have this on my head?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know I'm holding the paper, but like the thought of like the lazy, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, so when he's asking you what you like to do, you don't think, oh, I'm lazy, I don't really do anything?
No.
Like, how is this thought working in your life? You can put it down now. How is this thought working in your life in a regular conversation?
I guess like when I'm talking to my mom sometimes, like she like brings it up like how I need to be more responsible.
Okay, but now you're talking about your mom making the thing. I said something that's recurrent in your conversation with yourself on a regular basis.
Oh.
What is it that you say about yourself regularly, constantly, comes up in conversation, you're constantly thinking about yourself? That's a whole different thing than what your mom is saying about you. Guys, this is about us. This is not about our parents, our lovers, our siblings, our children. We have to become aware of our own thoughts. Don't give away your power, even in this. Okay, so let's do it with Pedro. What does your paper say?
Time management.
What about it? You suck at time management. Okay, so now you're gonna do to him. Now what I want you to do is I want you to pretend that you're the therapist. So rather than just a friendly conversation, I want you to talk to him about not time management, anything else other than time management, but like if it's a counseling session. So bring up here. And I know this is an issue of his, that's why. But in your case, you were taking your mom's issue, but we need to have our own issue, not what someone else is giving us. Okay, so now we're doing a client therapeutic session.
Sorry.
So it could be a first session or it could be a follow-up, however you want.
Okay. Okay, hi, my name is Chi-Chi. What's your name?
Pedro.
Nice to meet you. So how did your day start out today?
Well, my day started at 11:20 p.m. That's when I go to work, and then finish at 8:30 a.m. Just like to figure out if I was gonna have class this month or not. So
What's your job? What do you do?
I work for Amtrak, it's the trains, America's Railroad. I'm a train mechanic.
So what would you consider a normal day at your job? Like your schedule?
inspections and repairs.
Is that your favorite part of the job, the inspection?
Yes, I like inspections and repairs, so it keeps me busy, makes the time go fast.
So you're the therapist, so you can ask what he wants to talk about, or, you know, if there's something specific that's bringing him to therapy.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about my job?
Well, it doesn't have to be about his job, it could be just in general, what brings him to therapy.
What brings you to therapy today?
Not planning to come to therapy, but I don't know, maybe I can resolve some of my time management issues. I don't know.
What specifically about time management?
So I haven't thought about it, so I would have to really think about it.
Okay, so put your paper down.
Sure.
You have a piece of paper on your forehead saying you suck at time management, but
Yeah.
you're telling me that you've never thought about it
Well,
before?
I-
I'm
not-
having
not
a
as-
little bit of trouble believing these scenarios.
I just, I haven't, I know I can manage sometimes on my personal life, with schoolwork, with work, with family. So I don't know, I mean, I have to.
Are you constantly thinking about time? Because the first thing you said was, my day started and my day ended. Your day hasn't ended, your work day ended.
Right.
But the first thing you said was your day started and your day ended. It started talking about time. But yet, when you're asked about discussing something, which I didn't really want you to talk about that, but it worked out that way, that's fine.
Sure.
You're like, oh, I really didn't really want to talk about these issues, or really didn't think about these issues. We have to get real, people. If we are not willing to look at our stuff, how are we going to help someone? If I don't look at the fact that I am stupid, and think I'm stupid, and think I'm flawed, and think I'm this, and think I'm a fraud, and I can't help anybody. So what's going on that you don't want to think about the time management when we know, you and I, no, just you and I, forget the rest of the class, know that this is a major issue in your life? Why wouldn't you want to talk about it? Or why are we having some difficulty acknowledging that? When it's plastered on your forehead, you can't ignore that.
Are you late for work? Are you ever late for work?
No.
Are
I'm
you
always
late
on
to
time
anything?
for work. I always try to be on time on anything, everything. But
I always try, but we know that he's never been on time to class ever.
Why are you running away from the issue at hand?
Okay, there's a judgment. The question is good.
I'm just saying,
The
like,
question is good.
Just watch
But
how you
rephrase
say
it so
it.
you don't judge.
what scares you?
That's
about
a judgment.
time?
Could
Oh,
there
girl, I don't know how I can
Listen, could there be something that scares you? Could there be
Yes.
something you're running away from?
Okay,
Say it.
that could there be something that you are running away from, or that you are scared
To face.
confront? Can that?
You see how you're putting it on the client?
Oh,
No judgment.
okay.
could there be something that I'm afraid of, that I'm running away?
Now, why is that a good question?
Because
Because
it makes
it
us
makes
think.
him reflect internally and really use his
And no matter what he says,
exactly.
something shows up that you can pull a thread.
Yeah.
So no matter what the answer, he's giving you insight to something. Could you be? Can you think of a time where you were running away from something? That's another way to phrase it.
Right.
Because then it lets them go back to childhood or,
Yeah.
you know, a fight. or-
Meditate.
Let me think. I'm sorry, I'm
No, no,
kind
no.
of on the spot right now.
Well, but
Take your time.
Your time.
I don't need to put you on the spot. But my question, my real concern is that we have a client here, we have a student, we have a person who has time management issues, very well aware of them, especially where it's related to school. They're plastered on his forehead, but yet you're having difficulty making any acknowledgement about them. That is a problem. There is a major denial around them. All you said to hear so far is that you're not late to work.
Mhm.
I have a question.